Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlicker shills, debt slaves, serfs, peasants, vassals, minions, meat sacks, fetuses. I'm a useful idiot. Welcome. And today I want to talk about abortion as a political tool. And I've meant to do this video for a long time. It's part of a series I've done on religion as a political tool, racism as a political tool, and gender issues as political tools. Because a lot of politicians and media don't even really believe in any of these issues. And oftentimes it's just political opportunism, and abortion is a good example of that. And it's become relevant now, I thought, because President-elect Trump has come out and mentioned the fact that he's going to take the abortion issue back to the states. And I think that's, for me, that's a good idea. I know a lot of women probably have issues with that, but I really think it's a state's issue, but I'll get into more of that later. But first of all, let's look at the fact that I understand, first of all, that it's a women's health issue, and as far as what they get from the government, it's an important issue for them. So they want the government to be paying for birth control. They want the government to be providing abortion, and of course, part of that is misleading because only a portion of federal money goes to fund Planned Parenthood. A lot of it comes from the states, and then there's a law that provides that federal money can't be used to provide these abortion services. But when you hear the numbers, it's surprising how they get around that with the amount of federal money they get. But I just wanted to bring that up. But I also understand those who have issues with abortion, either on the fact that we really shouldn't have the government involved in the abortion business, which I agree with, and people who object to it on religious grounds. And I have some issues with people who reject it on the religious grounds, and the hard right in America who have this right to life issue. And it keeps coming up. It's been coming up as an issue in elections as far back as I can remember. But one of the problems I have is that they don't want to support necessarily abortion, but they also don't want to support welfare, child care programs, maternity leave, and they also support wars around the globe that are killing children all over the Middle East, for example. And so the religious aspect of it has some bugs in it. It needs to be worked out. But like I say, politicians will use these issues, and they use abortion as a political issue and always have. And if you have any doubts as to whether you're on this fake paradigm of the left or right, one way they divide and conquer is by bringing up abortion. And traditionally, liberals want abortion services provided, and the Republicans say they don't. But like I say, I think it's more of a tool because it's negligible in a way. But let's get into some of the numbers. 3% of services offered by Planned Parenthood apparently have to do with abortion. But that said, it disguises the fact that one of every 10 customers of Planned Parenthood has had an abortion, 330,000 a year roughly. So that's a pretty substantial amount. I can see where a lot of people have issues with that on various grounds. And $500 million in funding comes from the federal government, and the rest comes from the states. And like I say, they're technically forbidden to provide federal money for these abortion services, but I'm sure it's hard to separate. And I agree with that whole idea too. Of people that don't necessarily want their tax money going to fund abortion, even though for the most part it looks like it's relative. Because I feel the same way. I would like to have the choice of whether to have my tax money not go to the war on terrorism, and that's one of my choices. And there's lots of ways. I think a lot of people would like to pick and choose what kind of things their tax money goes to, but we don't always get that luxury. And this is kind of one of those cases. But in the bottom line, I think it's mostly used as a political issue, and that I hate to be so callous, but one of the things I say is if you don't believe in abortions, then don't have one. I mean, it's really quite that simple. And if you're concerned about the amount of money that goes into Planned Parenthood and pays for abortions, first of all, technically, federal money paying for abortions is illegal. And then I will also bring up the fact that that amount of funding is actually a drop in the bucket considering all the programs we have in the federal government. So to worry about that one is relative. So that's kind of what I want to say about that. But I also think it's just shameless the way that politicians use this issue to divide and conquer. And I assure you that just like religion and gender and race, a lot of them don't really believe in their own rhetoric. It's just a tool for them. So always bear that in mind that when these people are up in their bully pulpits whipping everybody in a frenzy over the abortion issue, they're using you. So try and keep calm and just look at the issues. And like I say, I think there's arguments on both sides, but the bottom line is it's a complex issue, and Trump will have his hands full tackling that issue should he choose as well. Cutting off funding for abortion, like I say, is going to be relative since it's already illegal. But I certainly like the idea of moving it back to the states, and then women have the choice. And I know a lot of women will ruffle at that idea that there'll be some areas of the country where these services will not be available, and but states will be able to compete. And I think that a lot of states will find that they're just going to continue to keep the systems they have now because ostensibly a lot of the areas that wouldn't have abortion in the real sense don't have the availability of a lot of abortion services right now. So there you have it. Abortion as a political tool, like everything else. Be careful. It's so easy to see citizens manipulated and whipped into a frenzy over these issues that really are relative, and politicians are just using you again. I'm useful, don't you be one too. Seriously.